Before we even get into this video, let's call it what it is. These three black women made the VMAs watchable completely. So we're going to assess them, but just know we are discussing royalty here because the VMAs without these three was completely unwatchable. What's good, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. My name is Brendan, aka 20 Days of June, and if you click this video, you know what we're getting into. We're getting into the VMAs and what's been going on, and there are three artists specifically I want to zone in on. Real quickly before we get into them, I do want to say a huge shout out to Lil Nas X for everything that he did. He murdered the Met Gala yesterday. He murdered his VMA performance. He's so candid. He bodies everything. He's funny as hell. I'm a full supporter of Lil Nas X. We're just not going to talk about him today, but I would be remiss if I did not say that Lil Nas X made the VMAs super entertaining and is one of those artists that wants to restore the feeling of watching a superstar, of watching somebody have fun with their spotlight and not just be mousy and all like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, no, entertain us. So shout out to Lil Nas X. But we are here to talk about Doja Cat, Normani, and Chlöe, because each one of them took a step forward, took a step backward. Wherever they took, this week it was a big week. So let's talk about the VMAs. And if we're talking about the VMAs, we have to start with the host of the VMAs, which means we have to talk about Doja Cat. For me, and I think a lot of Doja fans take it that I'm dragging Doja when I call Doja a pop star. I'm not, because the music is pop, her appeal is pop, and she's nailing these opportunities like a pop star. Doja Cat is not just standing in front of a microphone and rapping lyrics with little to no set design and a hype man, and hip hop plays by different rules. Doja Cat is an event in a way that it can only be pop because of how many people it appeals to. And I'm not gonna sit here and give Doja shit for the same racial ambiguity that we call Drake the king for having. Drake appeals to so many different walks of life because he's mixed, because he has access to this platform. And Doja Cat has that same pull. So in my mind, that's fine. I love that Doja Cat is using that to nail her opportunities, because it's not like Doja Cat is just here because she just looked up here or because she's just a pretty girl or something. Doja Cat is nailing these opportunities. What Doja Cat gave y'all was a grade A first class look into how to be a performance artist pop star at the VMAs. Changing of the outfits, then the outfit she chose, the glowworm outfit, was incredible. The hat was so campy and it was incredible. It's all from the school of Nicki Minaj, when Nicki would show up as popcorn or as tickets or whatever she would show up as. It was larger than life. And a lot of these kids just want to dress up in really pretty boring shit, and that's annoying. Doja Cat is putting on a show consistently, and then when she takes her pretty looks, they are just pretty, but she also knows how to add an element of surprise where you just don't know what Doja Cat's gonna look like, what it's gonna be like. Her performance, it was a breath of fresh air. You spent the entire night watching kids, and you spent the entire night watching these kids learn in real time, fuck up places, not fuck up places, not be perfect, but work through their kinks. Doja Cat wasn't working through any kinks at the VMAs. Doja Cat was putting on a world-class, beautiful dance art piece. It was phenomenal. And some people call it boring. Was it boring? Boring if you came to go to a light show. Boring if you wanted more of that minute and a half of Lotto that was given. Boring if you wanted more of a bop to the records. Sure, it could have used more highs and lows, but what I got was a beautiful art piece from Doja Cat. And I thought it was beautiful in the Black Swan, gorgeous pop culture sort of way. It combines that pink and Nicki Minaj, and Beyonce's flown through the air before, and all the icons have worn a harness, let's be real. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I am not attached to the idea that Doja Cat is going to do rap. Does that make sense? I don't think that that fixes anything. But there is an icon here that is being left out of the equation because she's so demure, even though she shouldn't be, and that is Janet Jackson. There is a lot of Janet Jackson in Doja Cat that is not being clocked. There's a lot of Janet Jackson in Normani, and there's a lot of Janet Jackson in Chlöe because it's in Beyonce and it was in Britney Spears. And Janet Jackson is the link to the VMAs for me, where I can see Doja Cat pulling from those influences where there's nothing wrong with that. And her mic was on. Was Doja's mic on? I think Doja's mic was on. We're gonna talk about microphones in a second. All in all, Doja Cat to me has earned her place here. She's hosted the VMAs like it was nothing. She was a fantastic host. Her personality was on 12. She was amazing to look at. She knew how to play with the crowd and not take it too seriously. Every time she hit her marks, it was another outfit that nothing was wrong. She is a computer. She is fully in her Pink Friday Roman Reloaded era. And you can't say shit about that. If you're talking shit about Doja while you're discussing Doja, you're a hater, because she literally is nailing every opportunity, regardless. And regardless of what her music sounds like, she comes from hip hop. And you cannot deny that about Doja Cat, that is hip hop transcending itself and gone. So good job for Doja. Next up, I want to talk about, let's see, who should we do next? I want to talk about Normani next. And I chose this order just right now, specifically for a reason. Because, as we all know, there was a bit of a Chlöe and Normani debacle because the VMAs was choosing which one they were going to choose. And at first they did choose Chlöe and Normani was not on the bill. Now, in thinking about that, I don't know what was on that bill that was more important than Normani being on the bill. There was nothing at the VMAs that should have taken precedence before Normani. Debut or not, I didn't see anything that needed to be there more than Normani. So Normani didn't need to be announced so late, and it didn't need to be such a kerfuffle. I don't get that, but whatever. Normani performed Wild Side. Now, I did do a short on my Patreon. I even put it up on my YouTube channel right after Normani was announced, and I said that Normani was gonna come with whatever was next. And she didn't, and that's a mistake. I think that we should have heard a glimpse into what was next, because we had just gotten Have Mercy by Chlöe, and we had already heard Wild Side and 1 in a Million, and we had also gotten over Wild Side, and Cardi wasn't there. So it was kind of like, you know, all right, here goes Normani once again, reintroducing a record again, which she always does. Everything with Normani is always formulaic, and it's always so right and so tailor-made. She just needs like a dash of sizzle where she accidentally drops a song she wasn't supposed to on the floor, or we get like at least a Normani cover of a Drake record or something, like make her feel like an artist. But every time we see Normani, it's these big curated packages that don't feel organic. They feel like label efforts, and that's not working in her favor anymore, especially when she goes after Chlöe. But I want to save Chlöe till last because I have a lot to talk about with Chlöe, and then it'll tie into my final point. But in focusing on Normani right now, was the Wild Side performance up to par? Yes and no. Yes, because she's great. She can dance. She's literally one of the best performers that we have to offer, period. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that Normani is big from the Janet lineage, that Madonna lineage, that Paula Abdul lineage, that Usher lineage. Not that Usher can't sing, but there was Ciara, who was a big missing link for me, where Beyonce came around and wrecked that curve and ruined a lot of that because we got so used to Beyonce's mic constantly being on. And then for all the girls who couldn't sing and dance at the same time, we just were like, you're not Beyonce. Why are you on stage? That's the new standard. Kiss my ass. That's how we felt. And now with Normani going after Chlöe, Normani's mic was off. When I say that mic was off, it was cold. You couldn't even hear no crowd noise. This microphone is live. That one? Stone Cold Steve Austin. It sounded like Normani was performing inside of a Tupperware, and that made it feel weird after Chlöe had just gone and belted and gave everything she had. This is why I felt like Normani should have kept the trick up her sleeve, other than Tiana Taylor for the Janet tribute thing, when I kind of feel like Tiana Taylor already did the Janet tribute thing on her tour. So making a VMA moment out of it is like, I'm not copying Tiana because Tiana's right here. Tiana already revived that, so it was kind of lame for me. I saw through it, and although I love Normani, Normani consistently making the safe and the easy choice, the predictable choice, is exactly why it's not fun to watch. Because you are great, girl. You've been great. You're not a new artist. You're pretty seasoned. We know what you're gonna come to do. But it is not raw. It doesn't feel like we're watching a wild animal. It doesn't feel like wild potential. It doesn't feel like that. It feels too mathematical. So I wish she would have shook up the jar, because to me it was like, okay, a spottily lip-synced version of a song that we kind of, sort of, but not really lived for. Not working. So it was a misfire for Normani. Although she looked great on the red carpet, it was a misfire. But now let's get into Chlöe, because Chlöe had a big weekend. Chlöe finally got a chance to release the song and video to her song Have Mercy. And Have Mercy, the video was phenomenal. I talked about on my Patreon how much I love the cover. The song to me is what switches it up, because it takes what is boring about all this music, A, B, chorus, verse, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. And it busts down that song structure in the way that only Beyonce did with Upgrade You. Only Beyonce busts that up with her talky, rappy records. And it feels like this was sent here intentionally picked to break that mold, but also play into Chlöe's strengths, which is that Chlöe is gonna go ape shit. Chlöe does remind me of Beyonce. Yes, she does. And a lot of people are trying to weaponize Chlöe with that. And it's making me upset, because it's like, y'all have no idea who Beyonce is. Beyonce has never spoken the words Carrie Hilson. I have never heard Beyonce say Ashanti. I have never heard Beyonce say the words Keisha, nor Cole. I don't know if I've heard Beyonce say the word Ciara. Has Beyonce said the word Rihanna? I don't know. Beyonce has not addressed, let alone claimed anyone. And Chlöe is Beyonce's literal artist. And here y'all go thinking you're gonna shade Chlöe for being claimed by Beyonce? Are you high? There's no shade in that. Like, y'all got the game fully twisted. But in this, a lot of people said that they see check on it energy. And I get the check up on it energy. Don't get me wrong. It is check on it energy. But the energy I see the most in Chlöe is that deja vu energy. I remember when the narrative around Beyonce was not Beyonce's the queen and can do no wrong. I remember the narrative that said, that little girl sing too much. She don't even be singing like that. It's a pop vocal. She does too much. She swears she can do all this and this and that and that. All that shaking and gyrating is crazy. These are the things that forged the Beehive. The Beehive got tired of the other generation, the older generation, not giving Beyonce her things. And Beyonce kept going hard to the point of where her fans and her fandom grew until it was worldwide undeniable that Beyonce was the queen. But it was not always a world where people believed in it. And Chlöe gives me that deja vu energy from that B-Day era where Beyonce was just snapping. Deja vu was, she wasn't asking whether she had permission to go off, to be young, and to just let it loose. And some people will like it, and some people will not, and some people will call it team too much. But what I see is an unavoidable lane where Chlöe is going to just continue to beat people's door down until they recognize that she's just got a different type of go hard. There is a demon inside of Chlöe Bailey that lives for this applause. There is something inside of Chlöe Bailey that is giving. It's whatever's in Gaga. It is whatever is inside of Beyonce. It is that Roman that hops out of Nicki Minaj. There is something, until she gives it a name, until she gives it a purpose. Beyonce is Sasha Fierce. Whenever she realizes what that is, I spot that in Chlöe, and I see that for what it really is. She has a click to her that is very eclectic and very superstar. And they did a good job with it, with the song going spooky and going rocker. And the microphone was on. It was on. It was very much so on. I heard the fans. I heard the breaths. I heard Chlöe. She is a different beast, and she's being groomed as a different beast. But the Beyonce light is a harsh light. And I think it's time for us to take the Beyonce light off of both Chlöe and both Normani. What Beyonce did, we had never had seen, we will never see again. And we're actually about to watch Beyonce do it probably better than she's ever done it through her 40s. Beyonce is not done being a machine. And I think that it would be unfair to continue to pressurize the girls with that. But I also think that the girls need to realize that we've seen it too. So every time you get on that stage, you need to be going hard like that. And to me, Chlöe gives me that. I don't know if Normani is okay with letting go in the way that Chlöe just let go, to the point of where people have criticisms about whether the microphone lick was too much, or whether she's shaking or showing too much ass, or everybody has such an opinion about Chlöe because Chlöe is letting it all hang out, and it doesn't look perfect. It's imperfect, and people's opinions are varying and they're everywhere. But with Normani, It's a slow, steady clap, and we move on. And I think Chlöe's brand of imperfection might have more currency right now, which is why I'm comparing the two, because that is the trick. And if you're telling me that everybody's putting them against each other, blah, 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 black women, I understand why you're saying that, but the award show also put them one after another for a reason. And we can't ignore that. I'm not gonna ignore it, and I'm not gonna ignore it because y'all want me to. That's the world we're living in. So Normani's gonna have to channel a little bit more of a let go and a little bit more of a snap and a little bit more of a click. It's the curation that is just smothering her, because Chlöe is letting it all out. She is screaming, the dance breaks, she is missing marks, but snapping back into the mark. She's insane. She's nuts. And I feel like we're missing a little bit of that from Normani. But in short, let me wrap this thing up, because I did take a poll. Because after watching the VMAs, I felt a little, I absolutely felt old. I'll give you that. I felt very black, because let me tell you something. Black music is not at the forefront of the VMAs anymore, unfortunately. I also don't think that the VMAs was looking at the 24 to 35s. I think even the 18 to 24s, they weren't even looking at you guys. This is very much a statement made to the future of where they think that pop culture is going. And this had nothing to do with us. I can't imagine Beyonce, Rihanna, anybody that we looked at the Met Gala, why would they be there? That was more like the Teen Choice Awards than anything. What, you just threw Busta Rhymes at the end and that made it grown? I don't think. I would hope that there is a more inclusive space where I feel like people should be, because I feel like these same kids are gonna clean up the Grammys. So my question that I posed to you on Twitter and on Instagram was, are we being unfair? Like, is the bar too high for this generation of pop stars, or is their talent just not giving? And I got my answer, and overwhelmingly you guys said the talent's not giving. Like, overwhelmingly, like, heard you. But let me make an argument for both sides. For those who say the talent is not giving, the talent's not giving. But there are those of us who, Cardi B era, we tried to tell you guys that the market was becoming that of which stars were being made and not born. Streaming farms were allowing labels to find a way to make people successful without them being authentically talented. That's what we tried to say. And a lot of you guys just did not listen. So now what we're looking at is that the labels can just pick and choose who they want to be famous and run them through the famous channels, and they don't exactly have to be good. The come-ups don't exactly have to be authentic. It now is just a game, and it's loveless and it's soulless and it's passionless, and a couple of artists sneak through, but there are more plants in that VMA building, more label plants in that VMA building than stars. And that's the issue, is that you can feel that if you've ever felt what it's like to actually feel Lady Gaga in a room, feel Beyonce, like when you felt like the stars were stars. That's not what's happening now. And also, artist development is dead, because streaming's a thing, and because they can pay for expensive videos and they can pay for all the things that they need for artists to just become. They don't have to be artists anymore. But Beyonce and Parkwood took the chance to develop Chlöe and Halle and let them work their way to a certain point. Normani, through Fifth Harmony, has gone through artist development, although she could use a little bit of young artist freshness. There's a big point there. There's no artist development. So the talent can't give. They're not working as hard. They don't want it as bad. They have access to way more, way faster. Olivia Rodrigo, let me tell you something. Hayley Williams would have never sounded like that, ever. My girl from Paramore, let me tell you something. Hayley Williams would never vocally conk out at the end of Misery Business. And Gwen Stefani can't even sing like that, but let me tell you what she's doing. She's making it to the end of Hella Good. Like, stop it. But is the bar too high? In some respects, yeah. In some respects, yeah. Not every star that Beyonce looked up to did what Beyonce did. Beyonce looked up to Janet. Janet lip synced down, but Janet performed down. Beyonce was the only person to Beyonce. Britney Spears, the mic was always off. But how, you couldn't say nothing to Britney Jean Spears? You wanna shade Britney Spears? Outperform her then. Hit the marks like her then. Have the records then. You couldn't. And guess what? Pink? Try it with Pink, because Pink goes, okay, out-sing me then. Pink was a monster. Christina Aguilera was a monster. These people were monsters, and they were children. They were like 19. It's not that alien era anymore, and we do have to adjust our expectations, because I think that we like to see aliens, superhuman talents when we were growing up, because we had just come from the generation before us, which was Michael and Whitney and Mariah, and it was like, whoa, it was superhuman already. And so birthed pop that was full of these superhuman women, and we want to see that again. And I know how bad you guys want to see that again. And if you're looking with a Beyonce eye, you're not gonna find much, but there are lots of great pop stars out there. I think that Dua Lipa has fantastic records. Kim Petras could have sounded better, but I love her. Tinashe could have sounded better at Made in America, or shut the mic off. Like, it's fine, just perform down. I'm an advocate for mics off. Crowd noise, Normani. But mics off if you need to. Put on the best show. Don't feel pressure to be a vocalist and to make yourself sound ridiculous when you don't need it. If you don't need it. And if you're gonna lip sync, then make sure it's tight. That's all. So the VMAs is a very odd, trippy experience from a show that was once my favorite award show. Not so much anymore. It's really looking like the BET Awards is where it's at, and it's just because the content has grown. But that's all I have to say, I guess. Normani, if you're gonna stand next to Chlöe, we're gonna have to figure out what we're doing with that microphone, and we're gonna have to work on that predictability. Doja Cat, you're exactly where you belong. Eventually, she's gonna need some heart and soul, maybe. If she stays in the pop lane, then no. But I feel like there's a little heart and soul missing from Doja. And Chlöe, you keep snapping. You keep being unpredictable. You keep going off like you at the end of Dangerously in Love. You keep pushing, and you keep factoring in that go hard and letting go. Because let me tell you something, I'm gonna leave you with this note. You can always do something with somebody who gives you too much. Can't do shit with somebody that gives you too little. Just saying. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I really appreciate you, and thank you for spending your time with me, because, you know, you don't have to. And never forget, there's no such thing on this planet as good or bad people, just complicated stories. Catch you next time.